to for a little bit. One is a flash fiction. You can see right here, about 1,500 words or so. So that should be a lot of fun. And then we will be editing the first few pages of a screenplay. So both are fun. I always love doing both of these genres. Flash fiction is really, really interesting. So yeah, without further ado, we'll jump in, and get this story going. So this is, I don't think this has a title. It's just called the 5 Census story. Um, and to learn how much we take for granted and how much we ignore in every moment of our existence. Okay, this is great. I don't know if this is something you're keeping in or not, but this is a good. I like this as a theme statement. Um, um, is this, would this be printed? Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, I see. That was what Master Malachi said before the attendant monks scrubbed black root paste into my eyes. Bind us! My beta readers like my first chapter! Yeah! That's fantastic! Bind us! That's so wonderful to hear. Congratulations. Um, I'm excited to see what they say about your future ones. That's awesome. Well done. It's like scrubbed back. It hadn't hurt. He'd been right on that at least, but honestly. Lack of pain was a betrayal. Before the attendant monk scrubbed black root paste into my eyes, I hadn't. Lack of pain was almost a betrayal. To blink your way through eyefuls of cold gunk, cheeks wet with tears, slowly losing your vision. I wonder if we can get a little more. So one, this is a really great, like, what an awesome opening. Going blind. Great hook. I, yeah, I think it's up here where I have that note. Yeah, I was like, I want kind of more. Yeah, I want some more visceral and specific language in this area. That's awesome, Bindus. Well done. And the lack of pain was almost a dream. To blink your way through eyefuls of cold gunk, cheeks wet with tears, slowly losing vision in mere minutes. I don't know if you need mere in minutes. I was blind as any newborn pups in the kennels. I kind of get in some ways why he's doing this, but like I want the finest artist at capture the tree. So yeah, I want to get. Yeah, so I think here we need just a little hint of what emotion this character is feeling as they're blinding themselves, essentially. So we kind of have a pretty, we have some sense, we see that, I used to be an artist. I used to be able to mix these different shades of color. I miss it. Like, so we kind of have the emotions about the loss, but I kind of want a sense of the emotions about why he's doing it. Some of the motive emotions, yes. Like, so while these emotions about the loss are good, about the experience are great, I want some emotions or indications of how he feels about the motive behind this act. Um, it just feels like there might be a little bit too much. Yeah, that's a good option too. Is it a little bit over described? I can put that in as well. Um, some of the thought of them tantalized me as I made my way, stumbling through the monastery. Red, vivid flower blossoms and blood and deep, angry color of the sky and the odd movements of sunset. They teased my memory. Grating and scraping the tips of my fingers. Grating. So good. So like this is good. Good feel. And like sense imagery. But even blind, I have trouble believing that, someone scrubbing the floor would like yeah, they wouldn't be able to cut the fingers. Yeah, he'd be aware of what's going on. Yeah, that's a good point, Bind. That is a good point. I can only see the color of it mixing with the polish. I don't know if we need my friend necessarily. It's kind of implied. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Interested. I noticed them noticing it. Yeah, I like this turn of phrase. Yeah, I like this turn of phrase. But it begs, the question if he valued his site that much, why does he let them take it? The emotions here are also important. The characters losing their eyesight. Are they worried, scared, accepting? Yeah, very, very true. And I think this was part of that sense that 5 senses writing exercise we talked about on stream a while back. But yeah, I still think it's really like there is that sixth sense, right, which is the mind, the interior, the emotion. And maybe I should have made that one of the parameters in that exercise too, because yeah, I think we do miss some of his, like, he's getting he sees that his eyesight is threatened. He knows that they like it. Um yeah, would he really be smiling here? Like, so for example, like he seems very oblivious. Like, wouldn't he try to hide this if he values his sight and wants to avoid um, it being taken from him? I should have known it would not stand. Spent weeks helpless and horrified as an inflate. Even my supplies and my bow, normally tools of comfort, now filled with. I could not even knock an arrow, let alone hit a target. It seems very spiteful. Again, like, I kind of am missing his emotions, right? Because, like, does he read that as his just punishment? Is it spiteful? Is he angry at how he's being treated? Because they're laughing at him. They're kind of being pretty cruel. Um, laugh at whatever. You know, this seems pretty spiteful. Is this part of the training? How does the I'll go a little faster because I do want to make sure I get to the end, because it's a flash fiction, so I want to try to do the whole thing if I can. The emotions are also important. Yeah, totally agree. My shins and knees were soon covered in crepes and bruises. My hands were just as bad. Worse, I learned from Kota that only a few monks in the generation were chosen for blindness. It was somehow seen as a reward and a punishment both. But he told me in a worried whisper not all of them are allowed to regain their sight. Okay. I kind of want to sit. I want, so it wasn't clear that this was an option earlier. This should, this should come through earlier, in him reminding, himself it'll be temporary, and then consider, this warning as a, you know, terrifying option, and we can sit in that emotion for a little. Is it going to be permanent? That's like a really interesting thing where he's like, it's all fun and games. I'll do my punishment. You can blind me for a couple of days. I'll, endure it with dignity. It's 1,500 words. 1,500 words. So it's about 9 pages. But it's double spaced, so it goes pretty quick. And it's in Courier, so that's also a humongous font. Also, is my audio coming through okay? Let me know if my people have been commenting sometimes that it's coming quiet. It's a little quiet, so I talked to most other disciples all at once. Spices tickled my fingers, bursting across the surface of my tongue. Sharp, stinging cayenne, rich. Okay, we got our sight and sound. A really great use of sight and sound. So I mean smell and taste. Oh, I think sight and sound. I'm going crazy. I rose, doing my best not to trample. Sounds good. Okay, good. I will. I won't worry about my audio then. Trample my brothers and sisters more than once. So heard. I'm gonna say that's what it's supposed to be. I heard. Something else. I I don't really know what this would be in a character. Something else. I kind of want, show me this a little bit. A little bit, even if it is more abstract. You know, you know, um, that would be like a silly example of saying, okay, if you don't want to name the exact smell, but you still want it to be tactile and felt, you can say, oh, you can kind of describe it in other abstract terms, like it was old, it was warm, those types of things. On a stray, shouldn't it be on a stray finger or foot? I haven't gotten, I only got a little bit more than once. I heard a cry of protest as I stepped, maybe like on a stray finger or foot. Yeah, I didn't see that. Um, I exited our little chamber and stepped into the night. I can always feel the coldness. So I would think of a way to make this. So I'm gonna give you a little example of show don't tell here. So like this would be, you know, you know, uh, I think I'm tasting. You don't usually want to do a comma splice with compound. I mean, you can do it, but a comma splice whenever you're using a compound verb like that probably won't work. So that's why I made it a independent clause. I'm not going to get too much into grammar on these edits. These are more for education and just like kind of general story stuff. But yeah, comma splices you want to be pretty measured in their use, and especially when that one looks like you were. I think that was a dependent clause you wanted to add. So for the spices, those demanded my focus, took me by the hand and drew me forward with their scent. My nose led me down hall after hall. Twice monks chastised me for being outside at this hour. Each time they were hushed by a colleague. Three full turns. Only one place in the monastery. I was there at the top of the steps. I felt a rush of heat against my skin. I was at the top of the signal tower. A massive brazier blazed night and day. But why were there spices? Was something being cooked? Good. That's really this is a great image here. Like this is a vivid image. I felt this one. Yeah, that was a pretty visceral one. That was good. Yeah, I'm an aggressive comma splicer. Yeah, yeah. Comma splices, they are a useful tool. Um, they can be very powerful when used intentionally, but if they kind of are coming in by accident, sometimes and they're not being very thoughtful. If you're not like, okay, I'm doing this for a really good reason, they generally will not be very helpful. I use them badly. Um, I don't know if you ever read our style guide. This was a really helpful tool. Let me see if I can find it. This was by one of my professors. Uh, my Twitch is disconnected, I guess. Fun. Let me hook it up real fast, and then I can send you the thing. this should work here. And this is a really handy style guide. If it'll work, is it gonna work? Hello? Is this thing working? No, it's not. Curses. Right. There you go. Style glossary. Now it works. Whew. But follow that link. It is really, really helpful. It's a very, very useful style guide. It talks through a lot of the pros and cons that those different stylistic elements will give you. To learn to truly see. That's kind of implied. You know, trust your dialogue. Yeah. This is a good quote, right? I don't remember exactly where that quote came from, but it's a good one. Speaking simply. All right. Ready? Ready for what? To learn to truly see. A week later, I wrote for my sleep again. This time it was in the wood. I could hear the planks outside. Again, we're kind of having a doubling. And you also, one thing is, this is something that is tough. This is a point of view thing. This is a tough thing. Because, you know, because we're in his point of view, we don't need to always say, you know, he saw or I saw. Just describe what's seen or heard, and the reader will gather it's the speaker witnessing. This is actually a more important point than I think a lot of writers realize, but this will save you a lot of headache. So it was the wood. I think this is kind of it's like a good opener. I don't think it's necessary. Give it and take make maple that I'd never noticed when I could see. Here. Alrighty. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't remember. I didn't realize the speaker was a female. The first monk whispered, even though they are, I can hear his voice clear as day. It takes months to walk the eyeless path. That'd be capitalized, right? If it's a proper noun. They turned to again, this I could hear. You see how this can become a little distracting? So you could do like their robes shifted as they turn to regard one another. And then we know it's coming from the speaker. So again, that's another example of this. I could hear, I could smell. I see it down here. Um, you know, and this could be like, think of some other options for this, sense construction. The reek of a dozen animals struck me. Whatever. I'm excited to hear though, Mindus, that your book is going well. I cannot wait to see how it evolves, and I hope you get it out to the world. Starting mini sentences in a row with I did this and I did that gets really repetitive. Yes, that is very very good observation. It can be an issue in both the action and in the reaction, in the senses, what the character is taking in. So yes, absolutely, absolutely. The forest can also not always scare me in the dark. Absent light, the comfort of the woods in its life had been stripped, drowned in darkness until it was something akin to oblivion. And movements, each one making me flinch and panic. I actually like that you try a long sentence here. Yeah. Tonight felt worse. Creatures that slept or had. That's something every writer should try to do. I mean, I think try a story with nothing having to go with a glass of water, but with nothing but really long sentences, or try a story with, a different construction than you normally use. And I think that's the benefit of short stories over novels, right? Is I think, you know, as much as easy as it sounds, as easy it is to say, oh, take a bunch of risks on your next novel and do all this complex stuff. It's not super easy. It's hard because if you screw something up, it's a lot of pages that are down the drain. And so that's why I think short fiction is a really great place to experiment and to try those techniques and to learn your approach to them. Um, I wrote a one-page novella without ever using the word "the." It was really challenging. That's awesome. It's good though because it stretches. It's like going to the gym. Like you're never gonna, do a curl motion necessarily if you're in like a situation where you need your strength, but it'll help you. Bring your arms in towards yourself. Let's say if you're rescuing somebody or whatever. So like even though like some of the exercises you do in the gym are artificial, they will help you when you're moving a lot of muscles in tandem and juggling a lot more. Since I barely recognize different from another now left out. I mean, the bitter stench of raccoons. Yeah, I just don't know. So I wonder. I don't have a raccoon smell reference. me like, you know. Yeah, I feel like whenever you're naming a sense, but it's something that maybe the reader won't be able to immediately reference, like the stench of raccoons. I don't really know what raccoons smell like. So in that one, you might want to give us some more cues, like, and I kind of gave a silly example: the dust and manure reek of, or I put smell, I guess, the dust and manure reek of raccoon. Yeah, or the stink of trash, skunk or trash. Yeah, that's absolutely right. So I know what a skunk smell is like. It's actually That's actually a really interesting thing to think about. Is the next time you guys are driving by or whatever and you smell skunk, try to actually define what it smells like. Or even if you're having something nice and you're making cookies, like what is the aroma of fresh cookies? Some of it's caramelized sugar and that kind of burnt sugar smell. Some of it is that kind of flour steam, because there's that, there's so much steam coming off that kind of has this like kind of musty flour scent. So it's like this sugar and musty flour, and you have that kind of that chocolate acrid smell of kind of like burning chocolate. It's very very complicated, and I think that if you're thinking about smells and stuff like that and breaking them down in that way, it might benefit in the long run. All right. Okay, I barely recognize the difference. Okay, as far, far off the wild undimensional musk of a tiger. Here. Or my spot, I'm a bit tongue remembering myself. Disciples would listen, not speak. You have until morning to bring us aboard. If you fail, you will not be permitted to return, nor will your sight. Hmm. Okay, the frenzy skidding. Again, this is when dialing some of these cues down, I trembled. You know, the frenzy skittering of red centipedes. The frenzy of red centipedes, clicked past my feet. Um, you know, or on the red tree. You know. And then instead of too close for comfort, give me what that concrete thing is, right? When I pounded my chest, I was alone in the middle of the forest, and I feared even with my sight. How could I? Are you ready to learn to truly see? Master Malachi had said, to truly see. Silence! Serial above. That's correct. Silence! Also, I saw you playing some hex puzzle blitz. Thanks for checking it out. We're hopefully going to release a new version soon, so excited for that. I'm excited for that. And yeah, it's progressing. It's progressing. Hopefully, we'll have some bug fixes in there, so that'll be good. I forced myself to kneel. Okay, you are ready to learn to truly see in the world and with without stress or disruption. I forced myself. Is this the speaker's thoughts? It's pretty fun. That's great. If you have any feedback, stuff we should change, stuff we should tweak, let me know. We're always trying to evolve it. We're going to add a little bit more story elements, and we're hopefully going to evolve those further. But yeah, a lot of ground to cover on Hexagon, but we're hoping for the best. Nothing hits or struck. My home. How long I simply waited. I'd think of a different word here because we already use weighted. Like we use weighted above already. Consider a more specific one. And so the goal there is if you're using a word like weighted and you're going to recall that again, if you call weighted again, it's usually verbal doubling, right? You're just saying the same thing twice, and that's generally not going to be helpful. So what your goal usually is when you have these kind of recurring moments, like how long I simply wait. So I waited. I let the forest become my monastery, period. So like you could, so this is verbal doubling in its current form. You know, so then you would just cut this whole section. So I waited. Let the forest become my monastery, my home. The clouds above me parted. The resulting moonlight, a cool kiss across my skin. So again, yeah, that's another one. How long I stood in silence, or like how long I sat beneath. So you're gonna be looking for something more specific, right? Because otherwise, it's just extra. I think actually in this case, you don't. You just want to cut the whole thing. I like cut to here. I think is actually going to be a better revision. But if you did really need that more specific thing, you could say, how long. I could not guess how long I sat beneath the rustling trees. Um, whatever that may be. So that would be an example where you're saying I waited, and then you're giving me a zoomed in version of the waiting, which is sitting beneath the rustling tree, something very concrete. And that is kind of something that can avoid verbal doubling. But in this case, I think we're kind of it actually plays better if we don't if we just let the scene tell us that it's there for a while. You know, like the forest, because like this is implying a lot of time is passing. So I think it's just trusting the writing the writing that the writer's already done that's evoking a lot. So knowing that hey, I don't have to if I've already evoked it and it's working well, I don't need to kind of have this extra thing in unless I'm really looking to have something quite specific or trying to accomplish some goal with that extra information. Like the spices only weeks before the scent called to me. There, drinking from the bubbling stream, snorts and pants, thirsty, so thirsty, it smells of mud and dirt and rotten fruit, eaten off the forest. Let's see, this is good. So this is good. Um, this is, the, you know, this is how the smell of the raccoon should be introed, with the specifics, um, and comparison, since the reader may not have a ready understanding of what, raccoon smells like. So yeah, really great use of comparison here, and that's how I think a lot of these complex ideas can get across is like using those comparisons, helping them kind of like launch you forward into the image you're trying to get to. The boy was mine, a gift from the earth, offered to me. I would one day be offered back to the universe. I stood bow in hand and drew a single arrow from my quiver and left the rest in the dirt. I would only need the one. Oh, great job! I really like this. What a great closing image. Yeah, this was an awesome flash fiction. Honestly, I really believe that if you polish this up, this is publishable. I really, really believe you have a great concept here. It's just a fun moment, and that's like what flash fiction is all about. It just brings us into a world, kind of sparks us. And so, yes, I think if you give this a lot of good revisions, a couple of rewrites, you could get this out into a small magazine, or maybe a big magazine. Who knows? But yeah, I think this is a really, really great start. I think it's really evocative. But yeah, um, clean up some of the emotions, uh, tweak some of those things, and I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised. But overall, really, really good. I'm very impressed, and I think this is an awesome start. That's the great thing about flash fiction. It doesn't have to have, because this is not, it has like a story, it has an arc, but it doesn't have to be this really complex thing. Flash fiction can just bring us into this world, bring us into an image, and just leave us there, and that's okay. And I think you have a really great start here. So hopefully these notes are helpful, and we are going to jump into the screenplay. Fade in. Where's my notepad? Do that, huh? Alrighty. Gives us a picture, whereas a novel gives us an entire movie. Yes, exactly. There's like in one of the writing tips, one of my professors had a funny way of phrasing short stories versus novels. Um, but I don't remember it. It's in the writing tips somewhere. Something about, yeah, how character, like a novel's about a person in society, and like something like that. Yeah, there's some fancy quote. I'm old and I don't remember. So this is a screenplay, Legend of Arlyia. We're gonna do 5 to 10 pages, and then we're gonna do 5 to 10 pages and talk about what we think. Exterior, city streets, morning. So numbering the scenes. Okay, so this is a screenplay thing. Numbering scenes isn't necessary unless this is a production. Oops, I probably should. Unless this is a production draft. And so the problem with the problem with numbering scenes, if this is not a production draft, is that it may um, make you look like someone who's not a professional screenwriter. Um, um, Leaving unnumbered. This phase is better. It's more professional. Maybe it's changed. I haven't done screenplays in a long time, but I do remember that that was a thing. That if you number your screenplays or number your scenes, it looks like you're kind of an amateur because you don't normally number scenes unless it's a production draft. So if you're doing that, they're like, well, why? This isn't a production draft; it's a spec screenplay. Exterior city street morning. A young boy runs out of the crowd of people, food spilling out of his arms. The shopkeeper runs after the boy, yelling, jumping over the box. The shopkeeper trips over a fallen piece of wood in the street. After that kid! Okay, so, the, kid thief, shopkeeper moment is something we've seen in a lot of movies and stories. You know, can you think of a fresh angle on this? Maybe, he's using a fishing hook, or something zany that, shows his character. So I think that's the challenge with using some of these moments that we've seen before. It doesn't give us the specifics of who this character is and this story. So I think that's one of the risks. Um, is the kid busting out of the store having stolen something. It's just a moment we've seen so many times, and unless you can think of a new angle on it, like a kid using a fishing line or some weird gadget to, maybe he has like an extendable arm to get the food that he's trying to steal. Like that's a lot more interesting because that tells me, oh, this kid is like some weird inventor or something like that, and it's just something I haven't seen as often before. So those are the things to kind of consider when you're running into. And sometimes, sometimes you say, hey, this is how I want to introduce my character. This is how I have to do it. The Then if you say, hey, a kid thief from a store scene, if you have to have it in there, maybe there's a better way to intro this character. If there's not, then try to think of a unique way to make that kid stealing from a store work. Um, yes, indeed. Let me see. I'm a little bit behind on chat here. An interesting thing happened the other day. Flash. Yeah. Whereas, okay, I got my first tattoo, and because it's me, it's in a Lethe. Oh, that's awesome. Well, tell Brandon Sanderson. I'm sure he'd be excited. They have those like YouTube things. I don't remember. Like, is it using the glyphs? The glyphs? Oh, the. I guess they do have the Google. Yeah, they have a lot of the glyphs out there, so that's good. Nice. That's awesome. That is really cool. And congrats on the first tattoo. A few of my buddies are huge tattoo fans. I always was thinking about getting one, but I could never settle on something I liked. So I was lazy. And therefore it's in the women's script, which I can read and write fluently. That's awesome. That's a lot of that's. I mean, that's what's so cool. I was reading the Lord of the Rings appendices because I was rereading the Lord of the Rings, and I actually read the appendices this time. And well, I'm not as into the language side. It still is just mind blowing. How much thought goes into a language's construction, how certain letters and like letter word sounds are sounded out, and like obviously like it's very well solved. Like he's like, this is the language, this is why it differs from common. So it's pretty wild what some of these writers can do. Yeah, it's amazing. Well, that's awesome. That is awesome. Life before death, right? Journey before destination. After that kid, the boy looks back and turns into a highly decorated military leader. The military leader, yeah, the general, like, what in the world? Dropping all the fruit. Yeah, a name tag is a little bit, may just. The boy backs up in fear. The shopkeeper runs up. Rhys looks at the boy, and the keeper stands up. What's going on here? Who's the guard? Is the guard Rhys? P1, is the guard Rhys? Or is it someone else? We need an intro. Um, the boy, he stole food from me, and he's a thief. He should be arrested and tried. He gets down and hands the boy's fruit. The shopkeeper, is you demanding me to do something? You're a shopkeeper and I'm a commander. Do the math, shopkeeper. Should I let Lestrade know this? So another thing that we're seeing is a lot of parentheticals. So it's demanding, serious, afraid. So you should have your goal is as few parentheticals as possible. Try to have less than one parenthetical for every 3 pages. That's your goal. That few. Those little parentheses. I'm spelling it wrong, but yes. There. That's, you want to really, because this should all be the actor, this serious, demanding, afraid. That's all. You mean you did a good job on the dialogue. It's all there in the dialogue. We're also missing some punctuation here. Missing some punctuation at the bottom of the page. Yeah, this interaction feels a little funny, but we're gonna keep going. I'm not gonna go too into that. Like him, the wrist stands up and dusts himself off. He extends his hand to the boy. Move along, then. Your business is done. The shopkeeper nods his head and quickly returns to his store. Wrist puts up his hand on the little boy's shoulder. The little boy looks up to Wrist and smiles. I'm very thankful, sir, but why did you save me back there? Look, my little friend, I know what you're going through. I've been through it myself. Um, you've gone through the same thing, but that's a story for another time. Um, so gone through is really vague. So these lines are a little vague, right? Like so, is vague. Maybe like lived on the streets. I've begged my fair share. Something like that. That's a little more specific. It feels a little vague, and pulled back. Seems it's an abrupt shift of the tone in Guard. Yeah, he's going from being really mean to the shopkeeper who has a grievance to like really nice to this kid. Yeah, I mean that's okay, but yeah. Anyways, yeah. Let's see. Riss and the little boy walk down the Carter Street. The two talk about the past as they walk. Many people on the side wave to Riss. The young lady walks up to him, hands him a bunch of flowers. Here you go, Commander. Please send my love to the princess in her time of worry. Takes the flowers and bows his head slightly. I'm sure Strine will appreciate these. Thank you. Riss and the boy continue to walk forward in the streets. Okay. I'm not gonna go too intensely in that because I kind of want to just keep going and see where. It's a great thing about this being a free edit is we can focus where we want to. We don't have to nitpick everything. One thing I'm noticing here is you have some really long action lines and you have some really long dialogue lines. So action and dialogue lines should both be under 3 lines as often as possible. So action and dialogue lines should be less than 3 to 4 lines long. Big blocks of text can slow down a read. Even if you keep the same content, you just space it out, it will make it read a lot smoother. Just because a lot of white space on a screenplay makes it really, really readable. It's a lot easier to get through it. And as someone who's read a lot of screenplays, that helps. My biggest recommendation, if you're an newer screenwriter, is to read screenplays. Read screenplays. It's the most important thing. Has a legitimate grievance, yeah, especially because the guy did get stolen from, but I guess he has a soft spot for street urchins. All right. The council stands up as well as Riss. Princess Estrine walks to her chair and takes a seat. Take your seats. So again, take a seat, take your seats. Those are kind of like those little repetitions. Can be a little weird. Also, I think we're missing a little bit of kind of a mix of conflict and momentum, right? Um, so, for example, this last scene ends with, you know, some minor conflict, but after that, there's no really momentum. He's like, I'm taking you with me. It's gonna be fine. I don't see a goal from Riss or even the kid besides just kind of going along with whatever's happening. So usually, as early as you can, even from line one, establishing someone that really wants something will add a lot of life to those scenes. This is like, yeah, obviously this is really good. If you're a new writer, you should be really proud. You've got like a really great start, and these are just some things that can help you potentially evolve it even further. There doesn't seem to be much agency there. Yeah. All right. The group sat down and waited for the princess to speak. Hey, are you doing all right today? Shakes your head, wrist nods, and stands. All right, this meeting is going to be administered by me. The princess will ultimately have the final say. The council out of the meeting continues. Um, so a lot of this is set up. Um, Tears falling down her cheeks. So again, we're missing some punctuation here. So remember, go through, do that punctuation polish. Believe it or not, it really will make the whole thing feel a lot smoother if that stuff is all in there. Yeah, this feels very, very expository right now, right? So, um, in screenplays, we have less time for exposition. Read your stuff out loud too. It helps. Yes, yes, yes. I'll say overall. I'll put that in the overall. And read the dialogue out loud. Um, Read a few screenplays. You can find some on my Discord. You know what? I actually should put some more in my Discord, huh? I don't think I have as many screenplays on there as I used to. I have a couple that I really like, but I don't know if they're um I'll have to look them up. I'll have to put some screenplays up on my Discord, I think. Whoa. Yeah, I don't think it's up in the Discord yet, but let's see. I'll put those on the Discord afterwards. I'm gonna write that down. Resident Evil fan, Happy New Year. Oopsie, I'm throwing stuff everywhere. Oh man, my old age. It's the real thing. I'm gonna put screenplays on Discord. Yeah. Yes, indeedy. All right. The screenplays we have left times for exposition. Then in the prose, be sure every scene has conflict, goals, obstacles. Um, some people say goal stakes urgency, whatever that is. There's a lot of different ways of just saying someone needs to be trying to accomplish something, right? Like this is business as usual. Like so, this scene, the princess has arrived. Take your seats. Are you doing okay? Oh, she's not doing okay. I'll run the meeting. That's business as usual, right? There's nothing unique about maybe he wants to get the princess to approve something. That would be something new, right? Where he's like, "Oh, she's feeling really sick." Maybe even when he's talking to her, he says, "Oh, you feeling okay today?" She's like, "No," and he's like, "But listen, I need to get this bill approved." And she's, maybe I can help. I don't know, whatever the princess says. Resident Evil fan, how's it going? Old age, I know. Join us, old farts. Ye olden thoughts. A shrine crick stands at the ledge looking out at the stars. Owls hoot. I think we're missing a T there, and crickets croak. Riz stands at the door watching her with a sad expression. Riz walks to the room. Um, covers her arms with a jacket. Estrine used to always have a smile on her face. Okay, so the voiceover, always be really careful about voiceover. I would really avoid voiceover. It's really tricky. She would not attend any of the meetings of the council. The kingdom fell into poverty because of our friendship since childhood. She was able to talk to me about her problems. She would say that she was fine, but I could tell that something was off, like she was hurting. She was hurting like never before. Okay, so this is good exposition, but again, that's one of the risks of voiceover is it will tempt you to use it for exposition. So you really want to think in screenplays, how can I show this? How can I show and not tell this information? Can I have flashbacks aren't really recommended either. But maybe he talks to her. It comes through dialogue where he says, you've not been the same since that day when you were 12, and then she's like, I can't tell you why, and he's why? I've been here all this time. You should. And maybe he gets mad. He's like, I've been taking care of you, fixing your kingdom. Tell me what's going on. And then she reveals that she has some evil growth that's corrupting her. I don't know, whatever. But that's a way that you really want in that page 4. You um, want to find a way to show this. That's gonna be really really critical to husband about our first house. Congratulations! Give her a break. Sheesh. It's a good point, Resident Evil fan. That's yeah, that's one of the things that I think husbands learn early on is when their wife is like, "Ow," and you're like, "Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong?" And they're like, "Well, nothing. It's just the normal pains of life. Leave me alone." That's something that I laugh about because it's a complicated life. I need to get back into writing. Yes, yes, yes. Um, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and my recommendation for busy parents and busy people is short stories. Do flash fiction, something really short, couple of pages, that you can polish up and do a few revisions on, and you might be surprised that you have something publishable. Um, I mean, I think even the last story that we read, with 2 or 3 revisions, it could be publishable. And luckily for that writer, it's a flash fiction, so it's only 1,500 words, so you can do those 2 or 3 revisions in a couple of afternoons, which is nice. For me, I just want to sleep for the first 2 days, and then I want to punch the wall. Then the creepy store. It's true. It's true. Such is life. Yeah, but like random cries of pain was something I did not expect. So I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty. This is the standard. Ah. All right. Morning, Your Highness. Enjoy your nap. I slept through it again, didn't I? Just looks at a worried expression on his face. Strine, this is the third meeting you've fallen asleep in. Are you feeling okay? Isn't he angry? I mean, he gets so angry at this shit. Like, because you showed him getting so angry at the shopkeeper. I feel like he's a hothead, right? I mean, she's been hiding what's been going on with her for years. Like this hot-headed knight would potentially be getting mad himself and maybe voicing some of those frustrations. I'm fine, Riss. You need to go. You don't need to worry about me all the time. I'm going to be with the Queen. I'll have to make hard decisions that will hurt without your help. Then, if Her Highness is feels a little on the nose, some of the dialogue. Yeah, which is okay. Like on the nose dialogue where the character says exactly what they're thinking is totally okay in the first draft, right? Because you're just trying to figure out what those characters are thinking. But when you get into your third, fourth, fifth draft, that's when you want to start really taking a look at the dialogue and making sure that a lot of this stuff is getting communicated through subtext. So again, a lot that comes through just studying screenplays, reading screenplays, watching movies and taking notes. It's getting old. Riss walks down the hall with his stride beside him, begins looking at the facility, seeing what needs to be done in regards to the building later the armory. How's the military training? But she's so like weak. How is she going around? Um, how is this shrine up and running? I mean, she's pretty GG's here. This a shrine. Yeah, it's a good one. Fantasy fiction formula. You should all read that book. All of y'all, read Fantasy Fiction Formula. It's an amazing book. Trading is fine. Why are you so interested in this all of a sudden? What has you so tense, Estrine? I'm your best friend. Why can't you let me in to help you? You wouldn't understand, Ress. Oh, really, Estrine? I wouldn't understand. Estrine, I grew up an orphan, alone. I had to fend for myself on the streets. So we're kind of like that actually. So him growing up as an orphan. So while this is one, it's on the nose dialogue. We're kind of, it's a little overtelling, right? Like this doesn't mirror normal talk. Like you know, this dialogue doesn't mirror how a normal how a person would share their frustrations just yet. But again, like I actually don't believe that an orphan yeah, I mean, I don't think he's gonna understand what this princess is going through. I mean, he says, "Oh, like I understand. You should listen to me," but he's an orphan. Um, you can read you like a book is dry, and at least you had a mother to go to. But like, he's literally like accusing her of like, "Oh, you have all these things. Like, you have a mother, you have a family. I never had that." But that just goes to underline the fact that he doesn't understand. I've made the kingdom people starve, and I've neglected my responsibilities as a monarch. And some of them sent their love to you. With my time on the streets as a lesson, I learned a valuable lesson. When we face our hardest moments, life will always find a way to create light out of the darkness of areas. All right, I really like this theme. I don't know if it'll fit as you revise the dialogue, but I like this concept. I like the concept of creating light out of darkness and finding. So this is a great message. Um, and her best friend find happiness. Will the darkness consume her? Look at this sunset, but she still doesn't tell him what's going on. She still does not tell him what's going on. Fox down the streets, people stare at the two in shock. The boy sees the princess. Why are they so shocked to see me? No one has seen the reigning monarch. It was a surprise to you outside the castle walls. I know, I'm sorry, I haven't been my best ruler, but I'll make it up to you. Come, my friend, let me show you something beautiful. Are you coming, princess? So I'm going a little faster because I'm getting sleepy. Yes, behind us. I'm going to be heading to bed as well pretty soon, too. But overall, this is a really strong start. I think a lot of the work is really around dialogue. I'll go ahead and do a quick summary because I'm getting pretty tired. But the good stuff is I like the world and the concepts. Story. It's a fun start. The theme. Yeah, the stuff to improve, I think, is just like well, I think actually dialogue is extra, because that comes from like each scene needs a character with something they're trying to accomplish um, in that scene. Um, whether they get it or not should have consequence. Um, the um can probably speed some of the princesses' conversations with Rhys. I bet you you can get to the reveal a lot faster than you think. You know, I mean, that's the thing. Like, so, for example, in the Alien screenplay, by page 8, they were already on that planet poking at those eggs. You know what I mean? Like, literally, page 1, they're like, hey, something's going wrong. We're out of, we're getting a distress signal. We don't want to go to the distress signal. We're going to do it. I'm the captain. We're going to go to this distress signal. And then, boom, they're on that planet. So that's the thing. So we're really still in setup here on page 8. But in a lot of other screenplays, we'll be launching into the action at this point. So remember that, that, there's a lot of tweaks you can make in terms of accelerating some of the action and moving those things forward. But yes. Any last things? Yeah, I think read some screenplays. I'll put some up on my Discord right after this. But anyways, overall great work. Both of these writers have done a lot of hard work. I can tell. This is awesome that y'all have been doing this. These are great stories. Yeah, is there stuff to improve? Yes, but I mean, you can watch me write on stream as well, and you'll see that I have stuff to improve with each draft, and that's the whole point. These are early drafts. We're trying to just kind of get those foundational pillars in, that as we start filling out more of the details, those will really come to life and be exciting. But overall, great work to both the writers. I hope these notes are helpful in your revisions, and I'll see you all